Okay, tonight we are going to be live talking to people about quitting different substances. And mainly what I'm going to be doing is looking to the comments for questions. And then I'm going to be answering those questions as people filter in. Anything that I talk about that's relevant, whether it's programs, supplements, this, that, other information, I'm going to put links in the pinned comment and links in the video description to any of the different resources that I talk about. So, guys, feel free to start asking questions in the comments because that's where I'm going to look to in order to answer questions for you. What's up, Richie? I see Bow Jobs in here. We got 4 or 5 people in here right now. Come on in, guys. I'm the reason you quit weed. Metro, that's awesome. I'm glad I was able to help you in your quitting process. I think I'm the reason a lot of people quit weed. I just hope that, they did it for their own reasons and not just because I mentioned it. 17 days from Seth. How are you doing with it, Seth? How are you holding up 17 days into sobriety? We got Metro at 26 days. How are you doing, Metro? Um, Margin Westra. That's awesome. I'm glad I was able to motivate you. That's kind of what my channel aims to do, right? 65 days from FB. Look at this. On my second day quitting my days gave on day 2, I gave you a lot of motivation. 10 days, still in so much pain. So Daisy, when it comes to the pain, guys, feel free to ask questions about stuff, okay? And you can ask me questions about other things about my life too. It doesn't just need to be addiction. We can have some fun with this. So much pain. So, Daisy, this is what I would tell you. When it comes to the pain that you're experiencing, talk to your doctor or your pharmacist about temporarily being able to take over-the-counter pain medication. You could like Aleve or something like that, like an anti-inflammatory helps a lot. You might also look into doing like hot showers or a hot Epsom salt bath. And then if the pain continues to persist, which is not abnormal when you quit, it might be worth looking into, was the cannabis blocking pain in your body from some other source? Were you using cannabis to treat an underlying cause of pain that has not yet been properly diagnosed? So yeah, there you go. Okay. Metro, to be honest, the only bad thing is the dreams. Yeah, the dreams get wild. I remember the crazy vivid dreams, and then I started to get dreams of like actually smoking weed again. So when I would quit, I'd quit, and then I'd have a dream that I was like about to smoke weed again or consume nicotine, or if I was quitting adult media content, I'd have dreams about that. Yeah, I just pretended like the dreams were going to the movies every night. How many times did I quit till it stick? It way more than 5 or 6. I mean, look, I struggled with addiction for 9 years. Uh, I, I don't know. For several years, I tried quitting and failed over and over again. I mean, guys, you have to understand. There was points at one point in my life with weed. I had bought 3 PAX units. Those are the vaporizers. The one like the PAX unit, PAX. They're expensive, and I'd buy one and then I'd throw it out. I'd buy one and then I'd throw it out in a dumpster. I'd buy one and I'd throw it out. At this point, I was like several hundreds, if not close to $1,000 invested into these units. And these guys at the vape shop would be like, what are you doing with these? Like, are you reselling them? Why are you in here so much buying these? And it was just because like, especially with nicotine too, sometimes I'd wake up, I'd be like, okay, this is it. Throw away my vape, throw away my dip. That afternoon, I'd be back in the same gas station I'm always in buying it. Then before the evening, throw it out. Then back to the same gas station again. So it went so many. It was an endless cycle for me. 10 days. My first 5 days were miserable. Felt like I was dying. That's usually around the time you get peak withdrawals. Thought about what you could gain, and then you kept going. That's what it's all about. And look at that. You're getting better. This is what I love. Severe abdominal and back pain. Yeah, so Daisy, I think that's worth looking into, right? I mean, that's kind of odd. That's a very specific area to have pain, Daisy. So I think that's something worth talking to your doctor about and looking a little deeper into why you're having that pain. It's a little strange. Not terribly abnormal, but like I'd look into that. Richie, I quit THC in 2021, started smoking CBD flower. A lot of people ask me about CBD. So here's my take on CBD while we're talking about it. I think CBD is a reasonable way to help people quit. If you're concerned about your health, I probably wouldn't recommend smoking it. And the other problem I see with smoking CBD is a lot of it comes from like these like vape shops and places like that. And it's really low quality, or it's CBD mixed with Delta 8 or Delta 10 or something else. So if you're going to use CBD, I think there's a lot of value there. Just from a health standpoint, I usually recommend either using like a tincture, or when I'm using CBD with people, I'm typically recommending CBD gummies. That's all. I'm just not crazy about smoking anything just from a health perspective. And then if you are going to use CBD, really make sure you're vetting the company that you're purchasing it from. Do they have third-party testing? Is it made in the USA? Is it organically grown and domestically grown? Is it cold pressed? All that stuff is what you want to look at. And I like the brand CBD BioCare. I've worked with them a lot in the past. I was an affiliate of theirs for a long time. I'll put links to the CBD companies that I like the most below. I don't play any video games, Elia. I used to love playing Xbox. I was more an Xbox than a PlayStation person. I was really into the Grand Theft Auto games growing up and stuff. But once college hit and getting my doctorate in chiropractic, I just didn't have time. And then once I got into my career, I've just been too busy to play video games, to be honest. I may play them again at some point in my life, but right now, I'd rather do YouTube things than I would video games. That's all. Great question though. 15 days sober, love from England. It's awesome working with you guys from all around the world. Nightmares and vivid dreams. Yes, I had a nightmare once that I was in the movie Evil Dead. It was absolutely terrifying. Yeah, you're on a muscle relaxer, Daisy. So Daisy, I'd be very curious to know more about that back pain. Did they do x-rays? Did they do MRI imaging? Are they looking deeper into it? And guys, for those of you that I'm interacting with like this, and Daisy, you might already be in the group, but I do have that addiction mindset school community. There's a free 7-day trial that you can try if you want. And you guys can post questions in there, and I'm in that group with my moderators and stuff, getting back to people. So I'll put a link to join that group in the pinned comment in the video description. Life is going great now. Got a job in logistics. Congratulations. Thank you for the suggestion. It is possible I have an underlying condition. Yeah, Daisy, is there arthritis? Is there a disc herniation, a facet problem? We could talk a lot about your back given my history of chiropractic. Linda Clark, I've cut way down, but I'm so scared of withdrawals. How do I get past the fear? Linda, don't be scared of the withdrawals. The only reason you'd be scared of the withdrawals is, well, 2 reasons. 1, you've gone through them before and they were hard. Or 2, you've watched other people's experiences going through withdrawals and you're thinking you're going to go through the same thing. And that's kind of BS. I always tell people, like, don't compare your journey of quitting to someone else's, because that creates a lot of fear. Fear is often rooted in false expectations appearing to be real. And then we get paralyzed in this place of not quitting because we become fearful because of someone else's experience. So the only way to get past the withdrawals is to go through the withdrawals and see what it is that happens. I mean, the reality is, look, guys, I've done a very good job at finding people who struggle with cannabis online, right? And I've worked very hard to find you guys and have you find me. But the reality is, there's a lot of people who quit weed every day with absolutely no problem. They don't give it 2 thoughts. They don't have bad withdrawal symptoms, and their life just goes on. So, Linda, I wouldn't stress. And Linda, look, if you're like really struggling, remember, cold turkey isn't your always option. There's supplements out there that are available, right? We make our own chewing gum, Kick It Crave Less chewing gum with N-acetylcysteine and KSM-66 ashwagandha. Kanna, Kanna, is another good supplement out there that you can take. You could talk to your doctor about medications that can help offset the withdrawal symptoms, right? And then, Linda, too, just basic lifestyle factors are going to play a role in how you manage withdrawal. How's your nutrition? How's your sleep? How's your stress management? All that stuff is going to be a factor and can be easily managed. So I really wouldn't freak out about the withdrawals. And look, Linda, so many people get worked up about the withdrawals and they're scared to quit because of it. But it's like, okay, so you're scared to quit because of the withdrawals, but like, are you not scared of the outcome if you continue down the path that you're on? Assuming you want to stop and you're having problems with cannabis, does continuing down that path for potentially the rest of your life not scare you? It must, because you're here asking me a question. So like, don't forget about that, right? Withdrawals are temporary. They come to an end. February 22nd, a year. Look at that, Art Night. Look at that. Seth, keep going, y'all. This is awesome encouragement. The dreams, day 22. John, me watching, hitting Nick, and chugging beers. Well, John, you're more than welcome to be here. I don't judge anyone. Yeah, Nino, weed is expensive. One of my favorite things about quitting, having more money in my bank account. It's allowed me to invest a lot more into this business and into a lot of other aspects of my life. Having more money certainly resulted in less stress in my life. And when your finances look better, life can be easier in some regards, right? I've had no money, I've had a little money, and I'd rather have a little money than no money, just living both lifestyles. Yeah, guys, again, you can smoke your carts and watch this. I don't care. Maybe you'll pick something up from it. Maybe not. I have horrible insomnia that medication can't touch. I have a full-time job, so I'm stuck in this position. Look, listen, mugshot cat. Everyone has a reason why they can't quit. Okay, understand this. Yours is the insomnia. Someone else's, it's the anxiety. Someone else, it's the depression. Someone else, it's the hunger issues and the eating issues and the stomach pains that they get. Someone else, it's they can't socialize without it. Socially, they don't know what to do. Someone else, it's boredom. Everyone has an excuse as to why they haven't stopped or why they can't stop. Okay. Lots of people have full-time jobs who have successfully quit smoking weed, quit drinking alcohol, quit popping pills. I was one of those people, right? I had a full-time job plus that, right? I was working full-time in my private practice. I was working for a gym as a personal trainer. I was working part-time at Vitamin Shop. I was working part-time at another gym as a personal trainer. I was working 12 hours a day when I had to stop. Okay. And I was interacting with patients during this time as I'm going through withdrawals and stuff. So there's always going to be a reason why you think you can't. And if you think you can't, you're probably right. You probably won't. If you think you can, you probably will figure it out. All right, Mugshot. I'm not trying to harp on you. I'm not trying to sound harsh, but you have to understand no one else would be here if they weren't facing some existential circumstance that was preventing them from stopping. Okay. But my point to you is we figure it out. You will figure it out if you so choose to figure it out. Okay. And insomnia can be a major problem. And maybe you do need some vacation time when you quit or something like that. But insomnia is a tough thing for everyone who stops. And a majority of people here are going to be employed full time and trying to manage that and figure that out. Constant dreams of smoking and waking up in a panic that I relapsed. I remember all that. I remember. Canna Club Chicago. Well, you're really high right now and you need help. It looks like you might be pretty involved in the cannabis community. So step one might be trying to find a different community. And if that's what you need, we have our free trial to our addiction mindset recovery coaching school community. I'll link that in the pinned comment in the video description. It's a 7-day free trial. And guys, you can go into that trial. And if you want, you can actually view all the exclusive stuff and then leave after 7 days if you want. Okay. Anyways. What's worse, cigarettes or vapes? Oh, Nino, good question. I would say cigarettes, but that's a really tough question because here's why. There's so many different brands of vapes on the market, and there's so many different black market or gray market vapes, right? When Juul was really popular, Juul was in the process of suing 31 Chinese companies for making counterfeit Juuls and distributing them throughout the US at retail stores. So when someone says compare a cigarette to a vape, it's hard to do because I don't know the long-term effects of a Rick and Morty vape or a knockoff Juul vape. And I do know the long-term effects of a Camel cigarette or a Marlboro cigarette. So I think that's really hard to say. But generally speaking, vaping is safer than smoking because you're not getting the combustion, which it's the combustion, the production of fire and flame and burning. That's what creates all the carcinogens. Whether we're talking cigarettes or vapes, it's not that these companies are intentionally killing you guys and putting carcinogens in them. That's not really the case. It's the act of burning something. It's the act of vaporizing something, that heat production that creates the carcinogens. If you're familiar with IQOS, IQUOS, it's the heat, not burn cigarette, very popular in Europe. That's the whole idea, that we're not burning something. This is what makes chewing tobacco and products like Zyn and nicotine products like that so much safer, because you're not combusting things. And now I can actually say that legally. I've said that for a long time, but I can say that now legally because the FDA or whoever it was came out and said, Alcohol Tobacco Commission came out and said, yeah, it is safer. Well, hey, by the way, also all those years we lied to you and told you it was going to cause an equal amount of cancer to cigarettes. Forget that. The fact that we could have prevented people from probably dying of cigarettes years ago by telling them, oh yeah, there are safer ways to consume nicotine. Forget that. Yeah, you can do it now. It's okay. Crazy. Okay. You never quit cold turkey. It makes your brain and your body panic. So, Lulu, it might do that for you, but for some people it won't, right? So some people quitting cold turkey is too much, and moderating and going down slowly is going to be their best option, right? And if we're moderating or quitting slowly because we can't quit cold turkey, how do you do that? Well, there's essentially three ways. Limit the strength that you're consuming, cut back on the strength. You can limit the quantity that you're consuming, so limit how frequently you're using it, or you can limit both the strength and the quantity of consumption. Okay. For some people, that's going to be an ideal way to quit. For other people, that's too hard. It's too complicated. They just want to be done with it. It's actually less stressful to say, you know what, I'm done with this and I'm never going to touch it again. And I'll deal with whatever I'm going to deal with. But just being done is the most stress relieving thing for me. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I had tons of GI issues when I stopped. Surslamethy. Yeah, tons of GI issues. I mean, when I quit nicotine, I had really bad constipation. When I quit weed, I had CHS. So my GI system was totally screwed all around. My main thing was constipation. And for that, I used, what's the name of it? It's the laxative tea with sienna. Smooth Move laxative tea. I would use that occasionally every few days. And eventually after cleaning up my diet, things healed up for me. But Smooth Move is what I did for constipation. If it's diarrhea, there's over-the-counter antidiarrheals that you can take to help with that. Okay. I started now DGV Prime. You're asking me when I started smoking. I smoked my first cigarette around the age of probably 16, 17. I got into chewing tobacco around the age of 18. I got into cannabis in my 20s. It wasn't until I was in college that I got into cannabis. I want to say it was probably 20, 21 years old, somewhere in there when I started consuming cannabis. Everyone has GI issues. Yeah. GI issues are like a common just symptom for people. Nicotine stimulates bowel movement. If it's cannabis you're quitting, your GI system has tons of endocannabinoid receptors. So it's not until after you quit and your body starts producing its own endocannabinoids again to regulate that GI system from a standpoint of the endocannabinoid system that things are going to balance out for you most likely. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. CBD best grown at home. Yeah. I mean, if you know how to grow it, I probably would say growing your own stuff is the best way to go, right? Disclaimer. If you can do that legally, yeah, then you know what you're doing with it, guys. Because you look at cannabis now, it is crazy. All these reports every single day, there is stuff coming out about medical dispensaries and recreational dispensaries and just how trash their products are. Brands that are supposed to be respectable, just trash products, trash testing on them, all types of pesticides and fungicides popping up. Don't take my word for it. Just do a simple Google search. You'll pull it all up. Okay. 27 days weed free, Maya. So Maya, it's tough. I get a lot of, I might've seen the email. I get a lot of emails and things, guys. And if I do, I usually just direct you to our group community because I have people who are paying us for one-on-one. I have people who are paying us inside our community. And then I have to make all this content and I got to continue all this free stuff that I do. And then I got to go do speaking engagements in the schools I work with. So like, I have to prioritize the people that are in our private groups first, just because they're the ones who keep funding all this stuff so I can keep doing free calls like this. So guys, if you have specific questions for me or you really need something for free for 7 days, you can join the Addiction Mindset School community. Then if you want to stay for $27 a month, you can. If you want to leave, you can. But you can join that. You can ask questions on the forums. Me and my team will do our best to get back to you. And then you can do what you want. But that is hands down the best way to get in touch with me if you're not doing just a one-on-one call or something like that, okay? I quit weed, but now I smoke cigarettes. I don't know that that's a good trade-off. Maybe it is for you. I don't know. You know, both can come with health risks, I suppose, right? So let's see here. 21 days, nicotine-free, still struggling for some reason. I can barely go in the car. Yeah, it's tough. You know, when I quit nicotine, anxiety was a very real thing for me, right? So, Michelle, is it Michelle or Michael? M-I-C-H-A-E-L. Listen, here's the deal. If you're really having that hard of a time, one, if you haven't tried our product out, the Kick It Crave Less chewing gum. If you don't want to try our product, try the KSM 66 and the N-acetylcysteine capsules that you can get your local vitamin shop. If that's not working for you, try a nicotine patch. Okay. If you're really having a hard time, guys, I've really changed my point of view over the years on nicotine gum and nicotine patches and some of the nicotine replacement therapy, because I understand that a lot of people they like life more with nicotine. Okay. I understand. I get it. That's fine. There's safer ways to consume it than in a cigarette or in a vape or in a chew tobacco. You could look at things like other alternative nicotine can come in toothpicks. It can come in chewing gum. It can come in patches. There's a lot of ways to get nicotine into your system that are much safer than smoking cigarettes or vaping. So just keep that in mind too, Michelle. Okay. But realistically, if you can make it another few days, those feelings are probably going to go away and that struggle is probably going to reduce. I am from New York, Rusty Griffin. I am from New York. Called Canna Flower. I haven't heard of Canna Flower. It does take a long time to find good companies though, guys. And I recommend, look, you guys, like, here's my product. I'm the face of my company. Someone's emailing me about my product. I'm emailing it back. Like, I'm easy to find. A lot of companies will launch and they'll do really crap products and things. I'm talking about CBD right now. And you don't know who's in charge. Like, there is no management team. There is no face behind the company, right? So if it's a scam, they can just fold up, disappear tomorrow with no consequences. So, like, you guys got to vet these CBD manufacturers and companies. CBD BioCare, the company that I have representation with, I know the family. They're wonderful people. They're genuine people. They are really in the CBD business for the sake of helping others. Like, they're all about CBD and they're all about quality. I love that. Right. You can literally talk to the owners or like their right-hand people if you have questions. So, anyways, keep that in mind. I have scoliosis. Could this be why? Daisy, that's a potential reason for back pain. Although a lot of people have scoliosis, so I don't know that would be the cause. I'd probably want to see an MRI, Daisy. If the pain is that bad, I'd probably be pushing for an MRI. All right, guys, we're catching up on comments. We got some people from India. Chain smoker helped me a lot understand what's happening in my body, and now I'm 3 months strong. Got through 90 days. Look at that. Nisha Shank Vasa. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. That's awesome, though. Congratulations. That 90-day mark. That's huge. Got a lot of people that I've worked with from India over the years. We got some people in our group. I've done one-on-one calls. I cannabis and cigarettes. I know. Stop smoking weed on the 30th. I'm feeling good, saving money, not even craving it anymore. Your Point of View podcast with Keith. Keith, what's your podcast about? Tell us on here. I stopped December 30th. That is awesome, guys. Is it possible to smoke weed in moderation and live a happy life? Absolutely it is. Guys, I've made many videos on moderation. If you search my channel, guys, I got to keep promoting my thing because we have new people joining every second. But like, also, if you're in our Addiction Mindset School community and you ask me like, Frank, what about moderation? I can literally message you back and say like, hey, here's all my videos on moderation and here's where they are in our school community. Check it out. So like, let me answer your question now though. You can moderate. Absolutely. Even after having an addiction. Absolutely. And you can live a very happy life. There's a lot of people who smoke weed and live happy lives. There's people who use alcohol and live happy lives and who use nicotine and smoke cigarettes who live happy lives. Okay. So here's the problems though. Okay. One, if you don't want to be smoking weed and you're struggling with addiction, then you're never going to be able to moderate and you're never going to smoke happily because you're always going to be having this cognitive dissonance. You're always going to be doing something that you don't want to be doing anymore. And it's hard to be happy when that's happening. Okay. So that's the first problem. Second problem is, if you believe that you are addicted to weed and you believe that you will never be able to moderate because you are controlled by this thing called addiction, and you just have no choice and no free will in the matter. You have no ability to consume moderately. You are physically incapable of it. You will never be able to moderate and live a happy life. Okay. On moderation, I usually say, give yourself enough time. So you quit smoking weed, you get out of this addiction cycle. Give yourself some time. I don't know how long that time is for you, but give yourself some time and see what happens. For me, sure, when I first stopped, the idea of moderating was great. But as life went on and newer, more fun, more exciting things started to fill in my life, the desire to moderate became less and less and less and less. I developed a very, very happy life outside of smoking weed. And therefore, I have no desire to even moderate anymore, even though I'm fully confident that I could moderate if I chose to. I've made many good videos on moderation. If you just type in on YouTube, weed and moderating or consuming weed moderately, you'll pull up my videos. I got a bunch of them. And if you don't want to search, pop into that private school community. I'll link it in the pinned comment in the video description and we'll help you out. Yeah, guys, happy to help. Vicor, 1 month clean, 1 year clean, February 1st. And Endo 11, John Fortnite 27. I think you know if you can moderate or not. Yeah, that's absolutely right, John. 100%. You know, if you can moderate, you'll know you can moderate. Like I am positive if I smoked weed again tomorrow, that I could wake up and moderate it. I am 100% positive. I just have zero desire to do that. I have zero desire to do that. Quitting adult media content now to ADL Gamer. Congrats. That's a challenging one. I started watching last August, been sober since. Simply Martinez, how's it been? Was it the right decision for you? Are you glad to be sober, Simply Martinez? Are you glad? Yeah, I feel like it's the type of person that can moderate ADHD. I can't go back and I'm not even upset about it. Right, Seth? So that's awesome. You're acknowledging that you know your own personality traits and you're acknowledging that you really probably shouldn't go back to it, but it doesn't bother you. Look at this. Clean off nicotine and weed and alcohol for a year now. Look at that, Sammy. Are you glad? Are you glad you made that decision? Something else that also needs to be talked about. What? The adult media content definitely needs to be talked about. Look, this is what I'll say on that. And I'll do a separate live stream on that at some other point because that's not going to apply to a bunch of people here, but it will to a lot of people maybe. I know for me, when I stopped my other crappy behaviors, like smoking weed and consuming nicotine a lot and all this stuff, the adult media content just naturally started to fall by the wayside. Okay. Like I just started to care less and less about it because I wasn't stoned at night, just like on my phone doing nothing. I wasn't just like, staying in bed, ripping my vape, scrolling social media, vaping, and then stumbling in adult media content. So like just by like changing my lifestyle around, adult media content naturally started to go to the wayside. And then when I started to pick up other things, my pursuit of YouTube, my pursuit of social media, it came down to at night. Like, what am I going to do? Watch adult media content now or do a live stream? I'd rather do a live stream. Right. So that was kind of how I transitioned away from it for the most part. Right. All right, guys. Very good. Let's see here. Podcast. Yeah, I'd like to do a podcast. My YouTube's kind of like a podcast. Yeah. Anytime, Giselle, I'm happy to help. Quitting my kids, it's so hard. My 9-year-old is getting evaluated for autism. So it's hard for me at 2 weeks clean. Yeah. And Giselle, so listen, here's the deal. Like, stuff always comes up at the 2 week mark. I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm sure you're going to figure it out because you're probably an amazing parent. And you're capable of way more than you realize. People don't even realize what they're capable of handling. They don't even realize it, to be honest. But here's my thing, Giselle. Whether you're going through an event like that or whether you stub your toe, it's the world's way of. This is just the world we live in. This is life. Like when you quit drugs, remember the point of quitting is to be able to go through the good times and the bad times without the substance. The point is to be able to figure out how to get through those good moments and those sad moments without a drug. So you have to embrace both of them. This is why you're quitting. It's to be able to get through this stuff. I mean, that's just my most straightforward answer. And for those of you guys that haven't quit yet or are quitting, like something's going to happen when you quit because this is life. Like something's going to come up. Expect challenges to arise and be ready to deal with them without the substance. And when those challenges come up, say, good, this is what I signed up for. Figuring out how to get through this, figuring out how to do this. That's what I signed up for. No, taking melatonin every night isn't necessarily bad. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. But like melatonin is a hormone. Is it that you're necessarily melatonin deficient? If you're in a place where you're not really getting sun exposure throughout the day and stuff, you might be, but we don't really know that that's the problem necessarily. And like, if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I guess I'd say that's my thing. But like, melatonin is a hormone, so maybe just like don't abuse it or stick to like a lower dose. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's fine. Like at the end of the day, it's probably fine. I'm more a fan of like letting your body do its thing when you quit and just kind of laying it heal. And I know that sounds hypocritical for a guy that like makes his own supplements and pushes supplements, but like melatonin's a hormone. Now you could also argue that KSM 66 ashwagandha, which we put in our chewing gum for stress relief, also impacts hormones because it impacts cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So, you could probably make that argument against me too. Substituting isn't the best idea. Facing it head on I also think long-term to stop smoking weed. Yeah, for me, like, look, it was easier to think long-term to stop smoking weed. Again, everyone's different. So for some people, the idea of stopping smoking weed forever is going to be too overwhelming and they can't think that way because it's like climbing Mount Everest. For me, when I realized like I could make the choice to quit, when I realized that this lifeless object called cannabis had no power over me unless I sparked it up or threw a gummy down or did something. I never really used edibles, only once or twice, but like that I would smoke it. Once I realized unless I was giving it the power, it had no power over me, I was so relieved to stop. And when I made that decision to never smoke again, I was so relieved. Some people are very overwhelmed by that. So for those people, I say, okay, take it day by day, one day at a time. Just don't smoke today. And then tomorrow, just don't smoke tomorrow and take it day by day. Right? Jaden, thanks for the $4.99. Thanks for the gift there. Stopped weed for about a week, really having trouble eating. Any suggestions? Yeah, of course, Jaden. So I think protein shakes. I'm a big fan, guys. Shout out to Protein Factory. Okay. Protein Factory is a website. They have really good unflavored protein powders. And if you can stomach like a whole milk, if you can't because it's too much fat when you're quitting, like too much in the whole milk, you could do a skim milk. Okay. Easier to digest, I guess. But like just doing almond milk, okay, oat milk, whatever's best for you. Protein shakes though, scoop of protein powder in there. That's going to be a good thing for you. Okay. If you can stomach it, like almond butter and sunflower butter worked really well for me as a source of fat. Cheese worked well for me as a source of fat. And then like just plain Jane, my friend Jaden, like chicken and rice with like some butter on the rice, right? Like plain chicken and rice, right? Like just basic stuff. Bone broth, vegetable broths, soups. Okay. Like think like really plain, really basic. Get some sodium in there if you can. Keep up on your electrolytes, right? I like Santa Cruz electrolyte formulas powders found on Amazon. Oh, guys, I got to give a shout to someone else too, real quick. So they do sponsor our channel. None of those other people do. Exploro THC test strips. If any of you guys are quitting for a drug test or you want to do some at-home testing to track your THC detox, give these guys a shout out on Amazon. I'll put a link to their test strips below on Amazon. It's $10 for a pack. Really good product, FDA and OTC cleared product. If you got life insurance testing come up or any testing, check out Exploro because they're one of the few people that are kind enough to sponsor our channel. So anyways, let's keep going. Military breathing. Yes, breathing techniques are awesome. The physiological side, box breathing, military breathing, there's all types of things. What's my opinion on people who got off opioids? I had issues with opioids, alcohol, tobacco, and weed. Helps me stay off all of them. Stay off them. Demon on time. I love it. Like if weed is part of your recovery from other drugs and it continues to work well for you, continue consuming weed. I would never tell you to stop. I would fully embrace that with you. If you get to a point in your life where you want to stop consuming weed and you realize you're having a hard time, or maybe you're not sure if this is the path you want to continue down and you're having trouble making that decision, I'm there to help you quit, right? But if you're consuming it and it's helping you stay off other drugs, or even if you're consuming it and you're having fun and living your life socially, I'm going to be your biggest supporter. I really am. And people don't understand that about me. They think I'm some crazy anti-weed harlot, and I'm not. I just want people to be educated about it. And even more so, I want to help people who are struggling with addiction. That's it. That's all I care about. Vaping is harder to just try once and never vape again than smoking. Yeah, Ben, vaping I think is far more addicting than smoking. The nicotine concentrations are stronger, so you're building up your tolerance to nicotine more. And vaping has a lot of novelty, all these different brands, all these different flavors, and that novelty is very stimulating to dopamine. It's the same thing with cannabis nowadays. At least that's how they market it, right? It's very novel. It's novel to go into this cannabis shop. It's novel to try a new strain. It's novel to try all these new things, right? Whereas buying a pack of Marb cigarettes or Camel cigarettes, it's kind of like the same thing over and over again. So, which I liked the same thing over and over again, but that novelty does spark the dopamine and the curiosity, and we could argue makes it harder for people to quit vaping. Eating a little bit, but often. Yeah, eating a little at a time. That's great advice too, guys. I forgot to mention that. So for me, it was eating a little at a time. And then even when I first quit, though, I could only stomach one meal a day, actually. So like when I first quit because of the CHS, I couldn't physically eat until the evenings. Like I just physically couldn't do it. So, and I was it's something, sometimes I get like, I don't know. It was weird that my food was so screwed up. But you want to think like, what can I eat for carbs? What can I eat for proteins? What can I eat for fats? Fats was like butter and rice. If I could get an egg down, I would do an egg. Like, I would use milk, almond milk, whole milk if I could, cottage cheese if I could. Cheese I did fine with. Everyone's going to be a little different. We got to think like, what's a fat, what's a protein, and what's a carb? Carbs were easy. I did mostly fruit, oatmeals, toast with just butter on it, like really plain. Like, what's that diet? The Bratty diet was that like bread, rice, banana. I don't know what A is. BRA. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's ass. I don't know. I'm kidding. That was sarcasm. Um, okay, let's see here. Let's go tenacious. We got people rocking and rolling in here. I did a little fasting, ate every 20 to 24 hours. What do I think of the effect of fasting 24 to 72 hours has on the detox process? So I think for people who are familiar with fasting and who have done it before, this is probably a good thing. And I don't know for sure, but I would assume that's going to speed up the detox process because your kidneys have to break down, your kidneys and your liver have to digest the foods that you eat, and they have to deal with the byproducts of it. Okay. So if you're fasting, in theory, you're giving your gut, you're giving your colon, you're giving your kidneys and your liver a break from all that food. So like in theory, they could put more of an emphasis on detoxing the THC. But I don't think fasting is a good idea for someone who has no experience fasting, just because who knows how their body's going to respond. And like the last thing I want is someone who's never fasted to start fasting to speed up the detox process and then just wind up in the hospital for some reason, right? So I think if you're experienced with it, it probably makes sense to fast. It probably speeds up detox. But at the same time, guys, and I'm dropping a video this week on this. What's the point? Like, what's the necessity in speeding up the detox process? Maybe if you have a drug test, but the only way to be sure is to test. So check out Exploro Test Strips, one of our channel sponsors, $9 on Amazon. Check them out, guys. I'll put links to them in the video description in the pinned comment. But like, what's the point in really tracking your detox? Maybe for accountability, you want to see how you are detoxing, but like to rush it, I don't know if there's a point in rushing it because you could fully detox weed, but that's not going to necessarily change the withdrawal symptoms that you're feeling because that's your brain healing. Whereas detox is more your kidneys and your liver flushing things out. So speeding up the detox process, I just don't know what benefit that would have unless you have like a drug test coming up for some reason or something like that. I don't know what a faster detox would get you, like as far as benefit goes. So I hope that makes sense. Because I do love our talks during smoke breaks. Yeah, I think that's fine, Will Slow. Well, listen, here's the deal. I understand the talks during the smoke date breaks. I understand all that stuff, right? I still go out with people even though I don't drink alcohol because I like socializing and most social events involve alcohol. So I think it's fine. I mean, and it's been a month now, so you're doing pretty good. That's up to you. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if you're done with smoking, you're done with smoking. Just because you're around it doesn't mean that it's good that you're going to do it again. As long as you remember that you have free will and that you have choice in this, you won't go back to it. If you find your brain saying, hey, I want to go back to it, well, you might want to reassess that situation. But more importantly, I'd be asking, why are you suddenly wanting to go back to it? Just something to keep in mind. Okay. All right, guys. 7 months without weed after chronic use, relapsed yesterday. What do I do? Thanks from Brazil. Look, here's the thing with a relapse. What do? You either keep smoking if you want, or you put it down and you stop again. And that's it. Those are the two options. That's it. And here's the deal. Like, if you want to go a little more detailed, like, why did you lapse? Why did you lapse? Let's not say relapse. Why did you lapse? Even better, why did you choose to smoke yesterday? Give yourself the power. Don't give this idea of relapse power over you, right? If I say I relapsed, that's like saying some mythical thing came over me and I lost all control and I just consumed drugs again. That's bullshit. And it's not going to serve you. Why did you make the conscious decision and effort to consume cannabis yesterday after 7 months of not consuming it? Why? And just be real with yourself. Answer that question honestly. Ask yourself why, and then ask yourself if you want to continue consuming it going forward or not. And that's it. So many times, guys, people get tied down in this relapse and lapse. And it's one of my most highly viewed videos right now on YouTube Shorts. Half the comments love it. Half the comments are telling me I'm killing people. And the reality is, like, the idea of relapse and the guilt that often comes with it is usually worse than the consequences of relapse, especially if we're talking about nicotine or cannabis. Maybe not if we're talking about fentanyl or heroin or someone who's severe alcoholism. But like, okay, for most people, they'll lapse. Nothing bad will actually happen. Like, all the progress you made over the last 7 months doesn't just get erased because you consumed cannabis one time. Like, life probably goes on pretty normally. It's just if you continue down that path, things could get screwed up. So, like, I'll talk to someone who's quit smoking weed for a year, and they'll call me like frantic, like, I relapsed. I'm like, okay, tell me what happened. And they're like, I smoked twice. And they're like, I lost that whole year. And I'm like, okay, so tell me what changed in that year. And they're like, I got a new job. I reconnected with my wife and my kids. I got in really good physical shape. I'm making more money. Like, a lot of good things happened in that year. And then I'll say to them, okay, so you smoked twice. So I take it you lost your job and your wife divorced you, right? And your kids don't want to speak to you anymore. And they're like, no, actually, no. They're like, my job doesn't even know. And my wife knows, but like, she said, she's told me not to do it again. And my kids aren't even aware. I'm like, okay, so like literally nothing happened. And they're like, yeah, I guess not. I'm like, okay, then why are we freaking out? And they're like, because I lost 120 days. You didn't lose anything in all those days in that year that you built. You didn't lose anything. You smoked. That's okay. Now let's move on. Put it down. Don't do it again. Let's move on. Like it didn't happen. I mean, really, guys, that's we got to get away from the mentality of relapsing and stuff like that. Otherwise, it's the guilt and the shame, and it feeds into the cycle, and it doesn't serve people. It just doesn't serve people at the end of the day. CHS is a cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome. If you're not, I talk about a lot on my channel. Just Google it if you're not sure. But it's where you get like really sick, vomiting, body pain, weight loss, malnutrition can be part of it. And it's from consuming cannabis, particularly, I think, from consuming high strength cannabis. Get used to their life post weed. How do you fill the void after quitting a big part of your life? Tyler, I had to find something else to do, and Tyler, I'd be lying. Look, like when I first quit, I didn't know, right? Like I had my business and that was kind of it. Like I had my career. I didn't have a significant relationship. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a house. I was living with family. I had to move back in with my mom at the time when I stopped because, I was running low on money. And like, here's the deal. Like, you got to find other things. And it took me quite some time, right? I never would have guessed in a million years that I'd be here on YouTube and that YouTube would become my thing and social media content would become my thing. I never would have guessed that this life existed for me. It just took time and trying different things. I tried a bunch of different stuff when I stopped, different hobbies, different side hustles. I tried so much until something just stuck. Okay. And that's why I would say, Tyler, I do have, I want to see if I can show you guys something real quick. Okay. I just want to try and pull this up real quick. Okay. Here, really fast. And then I'll get rid of this. Okay, Tyler. So I want to show you a window here. Okay. Look at this, guys. So can you guys see this real quick? You can. This is our school community. Okay. I'm putting a link in here to the pinned comment for you guys. But like, this is where you can come in and you can talk to me on the forum on this board, and me and my team will get back to you. And look here. This is why I'm showing you this. We just did our 2025 detox challenge, part 4. I literally did a 22-minute lecture on life after cannabis. Okay. I did a lecture on relapse prevention. I did one on withdrawals. I did one on the mindset behind quitting and detoxing. Okay, guys. And you can join this community on a free 7-day trial. You can talk with me and my team here on the boards. We got all this stuff, weekly challenges, motivational quotes. We have live calls. We got a live call coming up this Wednesday and this Friday on Zoom. Okay. You guys can join this. Okay. And like, it's $27 a month to join. I'll put the link in the pinned comment in the video description, but like, you guys can hop in there, get these questions answered, watch those replays, do it for free for 7 days, and then leave before you get charged. Okay. If you like it, hang around and hang out. Okay. I go live in there twice a week, just like we're doing on here. Okay, let's see here. Let's catch back up. 130 pounds a week just on weed. Yeah, Joseph. I mean, man, here's the deal. It's not so much only the money that you're spending on weed. I tell people it's how could have you invested that money appropriately, right? Like I had no idea that I was going to use the money that I wasn't smoking on weed to buy freaking camera equipment and microphones and headphones and start put my money into supplement companies and just start building. Like I had no idea. Like so it wasn't just the money I was spending, it was the money that wasn't being invested, because when you invest your money starts to make you more money. When you burn your money up and smoke it away, if it's something you don't enjoy doing, then you're not only wasting that money, but you're wasting like future dollars that you didn't even know you had access to. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Quit cold turkey. Yep, I get it. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I would say, Desmond, if you smoke more than an eighth of an ounce a week, you got a problem. I don't know. Like, who knows how much Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa smoke? And if you ask them, I think they tell you they don't have a problem, right? Snoop Dogg, you'd be like, I got kids, I got family, I got money, I'm living the life, man. So I don't know, man. I think I don't even know that we should justify it by how much someone smokes, right? Like, someone might smoke a lot of weed and live a really good quality of life. I don't think it should be based on quantities. If you looked at what I smoked, I only smoked during the evenings, only evenings, occasional weekends during the day when I didn't have work. And I had a major problem. Most people who would consume only during the evening hours, just a few hits, they wouldn't consider that a problem. But it was a big problem. It was a problem financially because I didn't have a lot of money. It was a problem to my energy. It was a problem to my physical health. And I also think we have to take into consideration the strength of what the person is smoking too, because that strength and that frequency combined is what's really going to set a person's tolerance. So that's my 2 cents on it. Okay, let's see here. Feel like the first day is the worst day. Yeah, it might be when you're quitting. I think the third or the fourth or the fifth day is the worst, because that's usually where the peak withdrawals happen. Because whether it's nicotine or THC, you got to understand it's somewhere around days 3 to 5 when that stuff really gets out of your system, when the active component is gone. And then beyond days 3 to 5, it's usually just the byproducts. So that's why like so many people get these peak withdrawal symptoms on days 3 to 5, because that's now when that drug is officially out of your system. So that's when that addicted voice ramps up and really tries to suck you back in my opinion. But for some people, day one is the hardest. Let's talk about pause. I'm 1 month sober from weed and alcohol. I'm having a really hard time with it, but I am happy to be free after 30 years of constant use. Pause is happening, but oh well. So this is what I'll tell you. One, Adwell Wissy. I love the but oh well, because you know what? If you're dedicated to this, it is what it is, right? I tell people, you're having a good day, you're having a bad day, you feel good, you feel like crap. Do what needs to be done. It is what it is. You wanted sobriety for yourself. You got sobriety. You have the short-term consequences of sobriety to deal with, which might be withdrawal. It might be post-acute withdrawal symptoms. So what? It is what it is. Let's continue forward. Now, with that being said, I think sometimes it's easy to mix up pause, which is post-acute withdrawal symptoms, with just life. Like, is it pause or is it some other lifestyle factor, right? Like, how's your sleep? How's your stress management? How's your nutrition? How are your relationships going if you got one? Like, what other things in your life could be causing problems outside of just, ongoing weed withdrawal symptoms or drug withdrawal symptoms? And if the symptoms really persist badly, remember, guys, there are medical approaches. There's medications, there's supplements, there's lifestyle modification. Like, there's so much to look at with a person to really try. There'd be so much, right? So anyways, okay, let's see here. 7 months without weed after chronic use. Okay, we talked about that. Year sober, 6 months by June. It no longer serves me. Definitely puts things into perspective. Don't buy cheap stuff. Jesus took away my weed addiction. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Fantastic. After I committed to quit for God, now I'm free without struggles. That's fantastic, guys. For many people, a faith-based approach or having that in your quitting journey can be powerful, right? I don't do a lot of faith-based stuff on my channel. It's just not what my channel is about, but I am a man of faith, and I think it's a good thing. If smoking made them die when they were 80 and not alive to be 90, some people might think it hasn't made them any loss of years in life. Yeah, Ben, look, there's people who smoke cigarettes and who smoke, and they live into their 80s and they're happy with that. They're like, I don't really care if I could have added 10 years onto my life. That's fine. That's fine. Everyone's different. Everyone is different. Everyone prefers to live life differently, and that's completely fine. What substance, Corey World asks, do you think makes worse decisions, THC or alcohol? I would say alcohol, right? I think it's hard. I think in the future we'll have a better analysis of this as more people start to consume THC, because right now more people drink alcohol, I think, than they do THC, or at least admittedly. So the data on poor decisions on THC, I don't think is that well produced. And a lot of times when people are making poor decisions with THC, it's usually in conjunction with another substance. So there was THC and cocaine present. There was THC and alcohol present. So it's really hard to say. I know for me, I made much stupider decisions on alcohol than I did THC, but there's a catch. I never developed psychosis on alcohol. I did with THC, and psychotic behavior and stupid decisions during an episode of psychosis can be really, 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 really bad. But there are certainly people who drink enough who then drink and drive and kill someone and wind up committing vehicular manslaughter. There are people who drink and abuse their significant others. There are people who drink and commit murders. There are people who smoke weed and commit horribly violent crimes unintentionally because of cannabis-induced psychosis, because they literally lost their mind. So I think alcohol, though, I would say from my personal experience, was always a worse decision. All right. I love the support in here from Tyler. I love the support. First time quit for 4 months. Second time for 2 months. I feel like my source of anxiety was weed. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, guys. Like, so many people are like, I smoke weed for anxiety. Well, it's like, okay, what's causing your anxiety? And then they're like, well, my money's screwed up. My relationship sucks. I'm on the verge of a divorce. My job's going really bad. I got this health problem I haven't taken care of. And I'm like, okay, like, didn't you say you wanted to quit weed because you spend a lot of money on it? And didn't you say like your wife or your husband hates when you smoke, and that's a big reason why you're arguing? And like, I don't know, you said it's ruining your health because you're smoking like a ton of it and you're vaping a ton of it. Like, isn't weed kind of causing some of those scenarios that are resulting in anxiety? And then you're smoking weed to help with the anxiety, even though weed's helping with the anxiety, causing it. So the thing that causes the problem can't be the solution to the problem, right? And that's one of the key things that I help people with when we do, whether you're in our school community or whether you're on our one-on-one calls, is just trying to help people. Like, it's like looking in a mirror. People talk to me. I put that information back in front of them, and I say, does anything you're saying make sense? And oftentimes the answer, if I do my job correctly, the answer is no. And the person leaves saying, why the hell am I still doing this? And that's exactly where we want to get a person to. Okay, let's see here. Okay, looking forward to life without it. I think that's really good, Ivy. That's what I tell people. So many people go into quitting with this idea of doom and gloom, and I say, like, look forward to life without it. Get excited about a life that doesn't involve addiction, whether it's nicotine, cannabis, pornography, alcohol. You shouldn't go into this being scared. You should go into this being excited that you're creating this new life for yourself. It's like a blank canvas. You can do whatever you want. Once you accomplish something that you thought was hard or you didn't think you were capable of doing, like, life changes dramatically. At least it did for me, and I think it can for a lot of other people. Eli, we don't have the Discord group, but we do have the Addiction Mindset School community. There's a free 7-day trial to that, and any of my pinned comment video links or video description links or community post links, we have a free 7-day trial. Then it's $27 a month. We do lives in there twice a week. We have community forums where I interact with people. You guys should really check that out. I have all my courses and programs uploaded in there that you can watch. So that's where you can get in touch with me if you want, or the one-on-one coaching and stuff like that. I'll link it in this video too. Okay, Letchworth State Park. You're right around the corner from me. I was just at over at Holiday Valley the other day skiing over towards the South Towns there. Letchworth State Park is great. I'll say something. Alcohol made me make worse decisions for sure. I remember wandering around Toronto. You know what though? I take that back. I'll tell you guys a story. I was in Toronto once, and I was younger. I was 19, and because you could drink legally there. And I'm in Toronto, and I'm in this crazy nightclub. Like, and I'm never like I'm from a small area. Like, I haven't been in a place like that. And I'm drunk out of my mind. And I'm like, okay, I want weed. Or so I must have been like 20, 21, 22. I'm like, okay, I want to get some weed. And I start asking around the nightclub. I'm like, yo, does anyone got weed? Does anyone got weed? And this was years ago when it wasn't like as acceptable. And like this dude, I asked one of the people that work at the club, and they got like furious. They were like, that's it. You're the fuck out of here. We don't got drugs here, blah, blah. Just lost their mind. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was like, I'll pay double whatever the cost of it is. So if you give me this much, I'll pay you this much. And the person like stopped like roughhousing me, and they were like, come with me. So then they like bring me this like other room, and there's this like person there, and they were all like Indian, or I don't know what the culture is in Toronto, but it's like kind of Indian, kind of not. I don't know. Maybe you guys could help. Maybe Middle Eastern. I'm just like ignorant when it comes to stuff. Okay. So I don't know. And I'm like talking to this guy, and he's like, okay, so you're going to pay double. I was like, yeah, whatever the price is, I'll pay double for it. So he hooks me up with all this cannabis. It was expensive. I spent like $300-400 that night on it. And okay, we get this weed. Now we're smoking it. We're outside of the club. We're walking around Toronto. And now it's the combination of weed and alcohol. And I get lost in Toronto. Now I'm lost. I lose my friends. I'm wandering the streets of Toronto alone, high, drunk, and chewing tobacco. Now, and tobacco in Toronto, I realized is crazy expensive at that point in my life. I went to go buy tobacco, and a little tin of chewing tobacco had like this horrific picture of someone's face like eroded. And they charged me like freaking $40 for it, as compared to the $7 I was used to paying in the US. And luckily, these two girls picked me up and found me, and they were kind enough to bring me in and house me for a period of time and not do anything bad or rob me or take advantage of me or anything. We actually hung out. I stopped drinking. I continued smoking with them. We had a rooftop view because it was like a dorm. It was like a college dorm I was in. And like they showed me like the whole skyline of Toronto. And then come morning time, they brought me back to my hotel once we figured out where I was staying and stuff like that. So that was a dumb decision off of alcohol. But cannabis, I was also really stupid too. So I don't know where I made the worst decision there. Okay, let's see here. CBD and CBG help with alcohol. Sure. Fan of CBG. Good. Anxiety and choppy sleep. Yeah, Eli, I say it all the time. KSM 66 ashwagandha is your best bet. My product is not, it's vegan, but it's not organic. We do have sucralose in here because it's chewing gum. We didn't use aspartame or ASK, but we did use sucralose and stevia and stuff. But KSM 66 ashwagandha for the anxiety and the choppy sleep. That'd be my go-to. If you guys want that in chewing gum form, check out our Kick It Crave Less chewing gum, which I'll link up in here. Okay, let's see. I stopped cannabis. I had a seizure in the hospital. Now I remember I started. I want to quit, but I don't know if I can. So, Gino, I think you have to look at, is it, and I don't know the answer to this, but I think it's more the CBD and some of the other components of cannabis than it is the THC that help with the seizure disorders. So Gino, look into that. Is it CBD that's giving you the benefit versus the THC? That's my advice. Yeah, Jimmy, my advice for the aftermath of a relapse is what aftermath? I mean, right? Like if I smoked weed tomorrow and I woke up the next day, what would change in my life? Arguably nothing. I mean, God forbid I wound up getting a cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome attack or a psychotic episode. That is a factor in why I wouldn't consume again, even though I'm confident I could consume again moderately. But like, let's pretend those things didn't happen to me. Like if I were to smoke weed tomorrow, like what changes? Nothing. If I smoke weed for literally nothing would change. So what is the aftermath aside from the damage to one's own ego and one's own self of this idea of relapse? Because if there really isn't any aftermath aside from the aftermath that we've made up in our heads, then it's not a big deal. Right. and helping with the aftermath of any life event. It's just you got to pick yourself up and you got to get on to the next thing. That's it. Whether it's the aftermath of a relapse, the aftermath of a failed business, the aftermath of this, that, X, Y, or Z, it doesn't matter. It's just it's getting back and going and trying again. It's trying again. So many times too, people will relapse and they'll feel like, oh, I failed. I'm a failure. I'm a failure. And that's not true. Like, right. If I tried to start this channel and I would have said I'm a failure for the entire first year I launched it, right? And I would be like, oh, I failed, I failed, I failed. A relapse isn't a failure. Struggling to quit isn't failure. The only time you fail is when you give up. So as long as you don't give up, you're just figuring it out. One of my favorite quotes that I think I made up is the road to success is often paved in failure. Okay, that's just the reality, right? Life is just a bunch of series of wins and losses and fuck ups and celebrations, and that's all life is. That's it. That's it. It's ups and downs, and we're figuring it out. I in no way, shape, or form to strive to be perfect in anything I do. I'm all about volume. I'm all about output. I'm just going to keep putting it out there, keep putting stuff out there, keep trying. And I'm going to try again and again and again as hard as I can every single day. I'm going to give it as much effort as I can. And I understand that 90% of all that effort is going to go to waste. 10% of it's going to pay off. And 5% of the 10% that pays off is going to be something incredible. And the other 90% is going to be trash. And that's pretty much how I operate every day. And I learned that through my struggles with addiction recovery, right? Why would you not want to smoke weed if you know what I mean? I just have no desire to smoke. I'm not sure what that is. There's no bad situation it will make better, and there's no good situation it will enhance. Posture Potter. I'm hoping moving to a new house and that to change the scenery will help. Yeah, moving can help. Changing your environment can help. But remember, you can't run from addiction. I've seen people like, and by all means, go with that. Like, that's awesome. But like, so many people will try and like run from addiction. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to take a cruise and I'm not going to smoke because I can't bring weed to that country with me or whatever. And then it fails them. It doesn't work. And they smoke the moment they come back. You can't run from it. You have to face it. And I think facing it in your current environment or your new environment, if your new environment's going to become a current environment, is the best thing you can do. Because, and this is the problem with so many rehabs, guys. This is why recovery and addiction recovery is such a high failure rate, especially if we look at inpatient centers and rehabs. And people will spend big money. They'll spend $30,000, $60,000 a month on a rehab, despite the fact that it has just as high of a failure rate as doing a one-on-one call with myself. And I'm not making that up. Like, that is just true. Addiction recovery has a high failure rate. Okay, so why spend $60,000 on that? And now I'm not talking about a detox. I'm not talking about a medical detox. I'm talking about a rehab 12-step program facility. Medical detox for 3 or 4 days is different. I'm all for that. Going back to a rehab, like, I think it can be very good for some people, but they have very high failure rates in the long run. And the reason is because a rehab isn't your real environment. You're not always going to have access to a therapist. You're not always going to have access to these doctors. You're not always going to have access to the community of people that you meet in a rehab all the time. And then the person's in rehab and then they go home and they're back to their family and they're back to their job and they're back to their whatever life they're living. And it's too much for them. And they don't know how to operate in that life without the drug. So I'd rather someone calls me and spends, thousands of dollars with me where I can actually work to help them quit the drug in their real life circumstances versus in some artificial bubble. Okay. Now, if someone needs detox, I'll still tell them to go to detox and then I'll tell them to follow up with me. But like, I hope that makes sense when it comes to moving and vacations. And look, now on the flip side, sometimes all a person needs is 20, 30 days sober to realize that they were capable of doing it. And sometimes a rehab can be a really good thing to get that started. Sometimes going on a cruise or vacation or moving can be a really good thing to get that started. So it just depends on the person, right? So, okay. Self-improvement podcasts. Absolutely. I think self-improvement's a great thing. How long does it take to get your energy back after quitting? I don't know. It really varies from person to person. I usually tell people most symptoms you got to roll with for like 90 days. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Guys, now I did not get, there are so many comments in here that I was unable to get to. Um, but this is awesome, guys. I had a lot of fun. I'm glad Nuclear Autumn that I could give you a new perspective. Ingrid, you're coughing so much if you quit because your lungs are actively detoxing. N-acetylcysteine, what we put into our chewing gum, also helps to clear out the inflammation in the lungs, right? Uh, the evil voices, Guillermo, make the evil voices go away. So it's a little scary. You should definitely quit. I'm not trying to freak you out, but that sounds like the start of a potential psychosis. That's how it starts for a lot of people. So I hope you stick to that. Okay. Um, I haven't played with my Legos as a 2-year-old. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Um, yeah, you're borrowing money from your future self. I love that. Thank you guys. You guys were really nice here. You guys were really nice in the comments. I'm just browsing through. You guys are doing great. Keep it up. However you're quitting, however you're getting there, go at it. And am I able to call in? I don't know, Dean. How do people call in? Are people able to call in? If someone's able to call in live right now, I would pull them up live. I'd take another minute and do that. That's interesting. I don't know if you can. Can people call in? I don't know. That'd be cool. Could I go live with people on here? That'd be sweet. I don't know if I can. Try it, Dean. See if I see you pop up somewhere. And that's it. Ingrid, congratulations. And congrats on the rehab. I wasn't just ripping rehab. I wasn't just ripping rehab for you. But yeah, like congrats. However you get there, you get there. I could, how you do it. It doesn't matter. Guys, and remember the last thing, pinned comment, video description. I want to show this one more time. And those of you that already heard me say this 8,000 times, please leave so I don't annoy you. But our addiction mindset school community, pinned comment, links in the video description, free 7-day trial to this. We got the community section where you guys can talk to me. We have the addiction mindset team Q&A. I opened this up today. So this is where you can directly talk to me and my team and we'll get back to you. I used to do DMs, but I couldn't keep up with the DMs. So I had to bring on other people for help. We have all these different subsections like weekly challenges, motivational quotes, helpful apps and videos. We have our classroom section. And guys, this is where I broke down things by topics. Right now, if you do join with the 7-day free trial, be sure to check out these videos, watch all these. This was a paid program that you can have access to in here for free. It was our 2025 Detox Challenge, all the replays. And then I'll be live again this week, Wednesday, and this week, Friday. I have more live calls coming up. We did a business entrepreneurship call on Saturday. We'll do another one of those again soon. I showed everyone the back end of my business and how I run all my businesses and all my online programs and stuff like that. Guys, this community is about so much more than just quitting drugs, okay? Because yes, we talk about quitting drugs, but we also talk about how can you make money online? How can you fix your finances? How can you do this? How can you do that? We talk about nutrition. We talk about dating. We talk about a lot of stuff in here if I feel like I can help you with it. So so check that all out if you guys want. Okay. It's good stuff. And link is in the pinned comment video description, 7-day free trial. Otherwise, check out our supplements and show Exploro some love. If you need testing, sorry to throw all this at you guys, but I gotta promote our stuff. Otherwise, people don't know. I spend so much time talking about things for free. People don't know what we actually have to offer, and people who support our channel. Enjoy your night, guys. Thank you, everyone who came.